I was young, right? I was pretty young, so I watched it. I remember things, but I wasn't like locked in. Not even to the NBA really. I was pretty young, but after I saw Diana Taurasi and UConn, man, like I became like a fan. So I've been, I was on the UConn bandwagon pretty much since the early 2000s, and I got to it's kind of like the Caitlin Clark effect, right? A lot of people, Caitlin brought a lot of new eyes, and then they started branching out like in other people. So that's what happened to me by being a UConn stan. I got to see players like Sylvia Fowles and Simone Augustus. I got to see Candace Parker. I got to see Skylar Diggins. Just the list goes on throughout those years. And yeah, I've just always been a fan, man. I've just always been a fan. I love basketball. Like I coach, I train it. So I can sit there and watch 10-year-olds play. So, people talk about like women or whatever, like, but basketball is basketball, man. If you love basketball, you can watch almost anybody play, right?
Yes, indeed. If you
So
love the game, you can watch anybody play, man. I got into the G League as it came along and it started coming on TV a little bit more often. So if you watch basketball, if you're a true fan, then hey, basketball intrigues you, man. So big ups.
right, and
And
the
look,
same for
man,
football. Like I imagine you like high school football, college football, and NFL. Like I imagine you could watch all three levels, right? Like, you
yes,
know.
indeed. Yes, indeed, absolutely. And look, I used to watch I watched the UFL to see if there's some guys that they should take a look at. So yeah,
There you go.
there's a lot of good talent out there, and fortunately for a lot of these guys, they are able to get the attention that they deserve. So, and I'm glad that the WNBA and women's college basketball and a lot of other women's sports are becoming mainstream. And hopefully we can get to the point where the summer is considered women's basketball season, much like we talk about, the fall being football season or you know, you know, at the early winter months being basketball season. Hopefully we can get to that point where outside of March Madness, because everybody's going to watch March Madness.
Right, of
Hopefully, we can get
course.
to that point where everybody's watching the W in a way that everybody getting their popcorn ready, going to get chicken wings, going to get their pizza, going to do that and say, hey man, let's go watch Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese go at it again. Just like we used to watch Jordan, Reggie Miller, a lot of those guys.
Yeah, oh
But
yeah, oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely, and yeah, and I definitely can see the game getting to that level or similar levels as that because I mean if you just look at the college level, right? I believe the last two seasons, more people have watched the women's Final Four than the men's, right? If I'm not
absolutely.
mistaken.
Absolutely. I
So
remember reading
that
that.
that should tell you right there, and that's not even the highest level of basketball. So,
Yeah.
that I feel like that almost says everything you need to hear, right? Like these are developmental young women that are getting, more ratings than the men who obviously more of them are going to be in the league, right? Like quicker. Like it's just a little different for the men. And I'm not knocking it, but I'm just saying, we see a lot of the freshmen now, right? That are most likely gonna come out after 1 year. So I think that's part of it, but yeah, by the same token, I can see the women's game, just continuing to grow and prosper and being in a great spot. And I just want to be here for it because like I've always, like I said, I've always been a women's sports fan. I don't have any agendas. Like I don't like I just like sports, like we just kind of talked about. And I don't feel like funny about like watching women play a sport. When I was in college, we didn't have a men's volleyball team, but we had a women's. I went to like almost every home game. It was free, like I was just wanted to support. I've just always been a fan. There's no agendas, there's no like whatever. So, and I think people see that, especially on my platform on TikTok, like I don't care about the outside stuff. I don't care about the relationships and all of that. Like I want to talk about basketball.
Yes, indeed. Speaking of basketball, we see the state of women's basketball. And as you know, like I stated, this is the guru of women's college basketball. Any type of women's basketball that you could think of, he is the guru at this point. So I have to ask the guru himself and hear from the horse's mouth. Look at the state of women's basketball. How big can you see it growing within the next 5 years, considering Unrivaled, Project B launching, and a lot of the great ratings, even without the cash cow, that being Caitlin Clark, in the league right about now because she was injured for the majority of the season. Yet the W had some of its highest ratings ever, especially when you think about the WNBA finals. It it was just a big, huge draw. Where do you see it in the next 5 years? Do you see it as what we were talking about earlier, a place where we could literally say, okay, look, football season is over, men's basketball season is over, March Madness is over. Okay, let's gear up so we can go watch a few women's basketball games, and not just the popular teams like the Indiana Fever and the Aces and the Sky, but when you think about a lot of the other teams that are coming in, when you think about Detroit, they'll have their team back. Think about Philadelphia. When you think about all of these newer teams, even the Toronto, I think they're called the Tempo at this point, if I'm not correct.
Right, Toronto Tempo, yeah. You got
Yes,
it.
indeed. So, what do you think? How do you envision women's basketball being within the next 5 years, especially considering some of the basketball players? It's just like, to me personally, women's college basketball is everything that men's basketball used to be. It's a big storyline that goes. They have the superstar coaches. When you think about Kim Mulkey, when you think about Coach Staley, when you think about Coach Gino, when you think about those guys, on the women's side, it's what the men's side used to be when you think about Jim Boeheim, when you think about John Thompson, when you think about PJ Carlissimo and guys like
Yeah,
that.
for sure. A lot
They
of guys,
have,
Bill
yeah.
Self and Lute Olson. Yeah, a lot of those guys for sure.
But yeah, and not only that, you're able to do something that you're not necessarily able to do on the men's side. You're able to grow with the player. You're able to grow with the player from a freshman to a sophomore, and you're able to get invested with that player. That way, as you're growing with them, as they transition from being an amateur to a pro, you can follow right along with them. And guess what? They bring that star power right from their college to the WNBA team where they go to, and even unrivaled at this point. So, with that being said, with that pipeline going from women's college basketball to the W, how do you envision women's basketball, period, being within the next 5 years?
I think it's kind of hard to put an exact number or figure or amount on it, undisputed, but I definitely see the trend continuing to happen. Whether whatever happens with the WNBA or not, I honestly think if it does lock out, which obviously I don't want it to do, but if the WNBA happens to lock out, I think that will actually help women's basketball gain traction, right? Because now it's like, okay, I think it'll just bring a brighter light onto what's going on, right? It'll be more people wondering why there's not a professional women's basketball league. I was just looking at the National Women's Soccer League because I saw an article about Trinity Rodman and her team, and what are they, the Washington Spirit or something? Um, I guess they're going to do everything they can to keep her here in America. And I clicked on the article. I'm like, what are they talking about? And obviously it's money. England and other clubs in Europe are offering her more than what her club here in the States can even pay her. But upon reading that article, I saw that players in the National Women's Soccer League are already making like or not already making, but I think the team salary cap is like it's a lot. It's a lot. I don't want to say the exact number. I would have to pull it up. I should have written it down, but it's a lot more than what the WNBA team salary cap is. And I've been thinking about that like all day. Like, how is that even possible, right? Like, no shade to the the National Women's Soccer League, but I would think the WNBA is at least a little more popular than that, right? And you're telling me
Absolutely.
you can't even match the salaries of the National Women's Soccer League? Like, come on, man. So, um, I think it'll bring more eyes if the W does lock out. So I think honestly that would be a bad thing for the league itself, for the league brass. But I think either way the league grows. Best case scenario, the W realizes like what it has and pays the players, and we continue rocking, and the WNBA continues to grow at an exponential rate. Um, But also, worst case scenario, the WNBA ceases to exist, right? Let's say that. Let's say that that happens. It's you clearly have other leagues around the world. You have other things you can do. Other leagues are going to pop up. People are going to swoop right in on that opportunity and create leagues. Athletes Unlimited will grow. Unrivaled will grow. Project B will grow. EuroLeague will grow. So it could worst case scenario, it could be a situation like in FIFA, right, where all the best players don't play in one league, but hey, you get to see them all at international play, right? You get to see them all at the Olympics, and if that's what it comes to, like I didn't want that, but I've already accepted that because we accept that in soccer, right? That all the players don't play in one league, all the best players. So if that's what it comes down to for women's basketball, then so be it. As long as I can watch it, I think women's basketball is going to be fine with or without the WNBA.
And speaking of the WNBA, we'll go just go right into it at this point. What are your thoughts on the collective bargaining agreement at this point? I think the last hit on that, it was the maximum of more than $1.1 million. I think the average salary was going to be 460,000, and the minimum would be 220,000. What are your thoughts about that? And do you think that that is enough as far as salary goes? Because there's a lot of other things that they want to address. They want to address the facilities, they want to address child care, insurance, things of that nature. But as far as the
Right.
salary goes, do you think that that is enough, or do they just need to say, look, Project B is offering these wonderful young women 2 million a year. We just need to just go ahead and just say 2.5 million a year.
Yeah. So just to answer your question quickly, and then I'll elaborate. Is it enough? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Um, and I'll let you know since we're pretty tight. I already dropped a video on it anyway, but I am friends with a close source. I'm friends with the source very close to the WNBPA, very very close, and they've already told me that they're not gonna accept this offer. It's not enough. I'm not allowed to talk numbers, but this they feel this is still very much a lowball offer, and they're purposely not addressing the revenue sharing, right? They're throwing $1 million out there saying, oh look, players can make this. First of all, and like I said, all of this has been confirmed with my source. And first of all, the 1.1 million is not even accurate, right? It's
Mhm.
significantly less than that. You would have to hit certain triggers and bonuses in your contract, or whatever milestones that are set to even make the 1.1 million.
No,
Furthermore, it's only reserved for one player on the team. So, which leads me to question, like, well, what's the team salary cap, right? Like, that's one of the first questions we usually have with this stuff, right? Like, well, what's the team salary cap going to be? Is there going to be a salary cap and whatnot? And it looks like they're not trying to go too much higher than $1 million, which is what the team salary cap is right now. And it looks like they're not trying to go too much higher than that. They're trying to find a way around raising the salary cap. So it's not enough, and it doesn't address anything. Like as you've seen, right? Like where are the details about everything else, even about the prioritization, right? Like where are the guidelines? Where's the offer? Where's the league's demands about if we want players playing in other leagues or not, right? Like that. Like I don't fault the WNBA if you want to throw that in as a stipulation. Like, no, I don't want you playing in these other leagues. But where is that, right? Like, we're missing a lot. Like, they're just throwing out some salary numbers as if that's the entire collective bargaining agreement.
I have this question. I must ask this question. This is a hard question before I ask, but I have to ask you because you are the expert. What would you say to a casual to be kind? I will say a casual to be kind to
We like to
say,
be kind.
yeah, to be kind. What would you say to a casual WNBA fan about the revenue share when they say, well, what do you mean you need 50% of the revenue share? What would you say to a casual of that to be kind? I will ask.
That's just the standard in every other league. That's the standard in the different leagues. That's the standard in other women's leagues, right? Like That's the standard. I don't think the women's soccer league got quite to 50, but they got pretty darn close, right? So, while the WNBA sitting at 9, and whatever happened in the last CBA, I'm afraid to ask, my people, but whatever happened in that last CBA, there was a 50-50 revenue split built into the last CBA. But again, it was contingent on hitting different targets and milestones, right? And triggers for the league, which obviously the league has been saying the players are not hitting for the last 4 to 5 years, right? But then they won't turn around and open the books to prove it. And so, we have a little problem here. And by little I mean huge, but like this is really like I don't know. I guess to the casual people that ask that, I would say just kind of like do your research, just learn how, respectfully learn how businesses work, learn how revenue sharing works. Like Adam Silver said some nonsense a few weeks ago or whatever about we shouldn't talk about revenue sharing with the W because it's much smaller and the NBA makes so much more money. And that's still a backward statement, right? Like I run a business, so like I know a little bit how it works. It's obvious it's a very small business, but I know how a little bit of this stuff works, and I know how it works to claim losses for one, and I just know like how I know how revenue sharing works. Like revenue sharing makes a lot more sense for a smaller company like the WNBA, so everybody can grow together. So, a big company like Apple doesn't have to do revenue sharing, right? Like they're so big, like they can pay their freaking employees in bonuses and just cars or whatever, like right? Like they can give everybody iPhones and different kind of stuff. So, um like yeah, I don't know. I guess that's what I would say. Just like learn a little more so you could understand what these women are fighting for. And this is not just like even a women's basketball issue at this point. This is bordering on like a civil rights issue, right? Like we're talking about fair pay and wages for your labor. So why is it that every other league in America can get a 50-50 revenue split or something close to it, and you're telling me that the W has to sit there at 9?
Okay. And look, to your point, it's hard as you know what to convince me that you're not willing to give me a good revenue share when franchises are being sold for $500 million. It's very, very hard for you to tell me we don't have that money when franchises are being sold for $500 million, and you have
Exactly.
teams that are worth. I mean, I don't think the Connecticut Sun sale went through yet, but I think they capped out at 350 million dollars.
Yeah, somewhere around there. Yeah.
So it's very,
Yeah, and
very
that's what I'm saying. These franchises have everything is 10xing, right?
yes,
Everything's 10xing. So, but then you got these people. I've been seeing it on Twitter and stuff. You got these people that are like, well, this is a 400% increase. Well, I'm like, well, everything else has increased way beyond 400%. So that should like just if you want to do little 2 plus 2 math, right? It should be clear this is not enough. A
yes, indeed.
400% increase when everything else is 8x, 10x, 12x, 15x. It's not enough.
Yes. Let's note this: Mark Davis purchased the Las Vegas Aces for $10 million. Now the team is worth over 500 million.
Yeah,
So
that's not even a what is that? How many X's is that at this? What is that? 50x?
a little bit more than that. That I mean, and mind you, the Las Vegas Raiders are only worth 3.2 billion. So he inching
Jeez,
closer.
man.
And that's if he doesn't sell the team. That's if he doesn't sell the team. Right now, the
Hmm.
New York Liberty is worth over 500 million, over that, and that's without the investment of outside sources. And I don't think people understand this before we move on. These players in the W are limited in their endorsements. If I'm not correct, if you would like to correct me there, they're limited in their endorsement opportunities. They limit them on endorsement opportunities for what I've been reading. Is that accurate, or is that just word of mouth at this point?
No, I don't. I haven't heard. too much of that, but don't quote me on that. I'm not too sure, but I mean, I don't know. Do you mean limited as in like a number of endorsements they can have, or like certain partners they
Yeah,
can partner with?
yeah, certain
I'll have to
partners that
look
they can
into that.
partner with.
I'll have to look.
Yeah,
Well, I'm sure that that's a case, right? Because if they're partners with rivals, if they're partners with a certain company, I'm sure they wouldn't want them to partner with like a rival company. But other than that, I haven't heard too much about that, but I will definitely look into that, man. You may have given me a video idea.
yeah, there was concerns about not only the endorsement, but name, image, and likeness as well. Like they
Hmm.
don't own the rights to their name. They can't sell it to a company in order to make profit because they got to clear through the W from what I have been reading. So
Okay.
that's
Well,
that's
I
the
know they're
question.
not getting much off their jerseys. They're supposed to get a certain amount, but that goes to like some pool or something, player pool, and the player pool is supposed to that also has like different milestones and targets or whatever amount of sales. So basically, at the end of the day, the players are not getting anything for their jerseys, even though it says that they're technically do, but they really don't.
I made a
So.
video not too long ago saying that the W needs a David Stern because it doesn't seem like the players kind of respect Miss Kathy at a certain point. Would you believe that a David Stern type of commissioner would do the W a lot of good?
Um, To be honest with you, I don't have the most confidence in whoever's going to be the commissioner. Obviously, somebody like a David Stern would be beneficial for the league, but David Stern is, in my opinion, David Stern is kind of one of a kind. Not
Yeah.
many commissioners have been like David Stern. I guess you could say Roger. Roger's been around for a while, and the league's been growing, but Rogers has some missteps too. So. Um, like, yeah, I don't think it gets much better than David Stern. So I feel like that's like fantasizing almost for, a commissioner that'll do things the right way and keep a tight ship. But yeah, I think somebody like that would help. But I guess what I'm saying is I am not convinced that the W will get somebody like that. so
Yeah.
so we'll see.
Yes, indeed, it will. We will see. Shout out to my main man, Sports PSP. Uh, Up to 150,000 followers on YouTube, man. Make sure y'all like and subscribe on the Sports PSP podcast. Make sure you follow my main man, NBA Mayor, on TikTok, man. He has some incredible basketball knowledge. And if you are in the chat and you are watching this right about now, take the time in order to hit that subscribe button, man, because we got a lot more coming for you, man. And shout out to my main man, PSP. Once again, they need an owner who does more than they say and backs it with action. Current NBA players have no respect for her, and Nafisa Corey's comments prove it. I really think he is profound in that statement because I haven't look before we move on into talking about the upcoming draft because the draft lottery is coming up. I've never heard any other league call their commissioner by their first name. Never. I've never heard anybody in the NFL call Roger Goodell Roger. I've never heard anybody say David Stern's name. They call him David. I've never heard of even when Paul Tagliabue, God rest his soul, he was the commissioner. They never called him Paul or even Pete Rozelle, God rest his soul. She's the only commissioner where you see the players of the league call her by her first name. So it's just
Hmm.
like I've never heard of somebody say David Stern. Well, they call him by his full name, Commissioner Stern. I've never just heard them address him as David. So or even Adam Silver as Adam. So it shows a lack of respect by the players. And when you really have no cachet about yourself as a commissioner, it kind of shows in the actions of the players. What says you about that?
No, I mean I agree that it's I don't know how deep into the Twitter streets you are, but a lot of players have reposted things that other players and people have said about Kathy, and so clearly the vast majority of the league is not rocking with Kathy at this point. So I don't know what she's done. You had legends like Elena Deladon coming out taking shots at Kathy, like who hasn't been in the league for what 4 years now. So you have people like that coming out, going out of their way, out of their day to take shots at her. So clearly, she has not moved in a way that is conducive to her having a good relationship with the players. So I would totally agree with that. I think the respect is gone. Other supposed sources in the league or whatever, executive anonymous executives have also said the same thing. So yeah, I think the writing's on the wall either way. But again, we'll see. I'm not confident that we won't get another see so or something similar. So I want to see. I just want to see how it plays out.
Um, Real quick, just 1 minute. What do you think will be the make or break in the CBA as far as getting the deal agreed on to? Is it going to depend on the league and how far they're willing to go and address the revenue share? Is it going to depend on insurance? Is it going to depend on? I know you can't go into too many details because once you violate certain rules, then you're no longer a journalist. But what do you think
Right.
will be your personal opinion will be a make or break deal? Real quick before we move on to the next subject.
The revenue sharing is very simple, and it's why Adam Silver and the league keep straying away from the conversation because they're not. And again, this is my source told me this. They're purposely not putting out revenue sharing because they don't want to do that. They want to keep the same model where, they can say, yeah, well, you can get a 50-50 revenue split or the potential or opportunity to make more money each year as the years go. But what the league is going to do is basically say, oh, like they're going to do what they've done the last 5 years. Say like, oh, you didn't hit your targets, you didn't hit your milestones. And when the players say, oh, well, can we see that? They're going to say, well, no, and so so the trust is completely gone between the players and the league at this point. And short of opening those books or at least just saying, okay, like we won't open the books, but we'll pay you what you want and give you what you want, that because that will work too, right? That's what they do in a lot of those European teams and leagues and stuff. You don't know what those people are doing, but they got the money to pay you and they pay you. So, like so if the league even did that, like, okay, but it's gonna take the revenue sharing. It's gonna take a model where the players' salaries and increases and benefits and percentages of everything increases with the league. It doesn't have to be revisited, every season or every CBA. Like this is just what it is. And so, yeah, short of a favorable revenue sharing situation, they're not going to agree, unfortunately.
Quick question before we hop into this subject. Do you think a fully guaranteed contract will kind of solve the issue? Just fully guaranteed, yes or no?
Not at the amount that they are proposing right now. No, because that's still not enough. My calculations, okay, this is just me. This is just math that I've done based on projections from economists and stuff, right? And it's easy math, right? Like there are a lot of people who project that the W will gross around 1 billion in 2026, right? So 1 billion, right? A 50-50 revenue split, very simple, right? 500 million of that goes to the teams. There'll be 15 teams. That breaks it down to about $22 million per team, which is 22x from what it is right now, which is at 1 million per team. So 22 million per team. Salary max is looking somewhere between 3.5 and 4 million. Average will be around 2. Minimum will be 850. And this is my math. These are my numbers that I crunched. So but that's what I'm coming up with. So a max player in the W should be somewhere between 3.5 and 4
Okay.
million. So they are still offering 75% less of what I think they are owed or valued at.
Yes, indeed, man. Thank you for breaking that down to us. We're going to stay with the W at this point because we're going to go, as we all know, the draft lottery is not too far off. But I have to ask you this question. Nafisa Correa got hurt during the course of the season. They had a lot of injuries. Unfortunately, they fell in the playoff, wasn't able to complete the revenge tour. If you're the Minnesota Lynx and you get the first overall pick, who are you drafting along with the great players that you already have? Who are you drafting out of this draft class that's coming up?
I am absolutely drafting Lauren Betts if I am the Minnesota Lynx. Absolutely.
All right. Yeah, but
Absolutely. I would think. Actually, yeah, no, I would take Lauren Betts. Olivia Miles was a consideration, but they would have to, either do something with Courtney or K Mac or somebody, and I don't think they want to do that just yet. So I think that they would get Lauren Betts. I think that that will make them a much bigger team, which is, and I have this on wax. I have a video about it when they lost to Chicago earlier in the season. I said it. I said they're gonna get pushed around if it comes down to it because they're not that big and they're a very finesse team. And so not that Lauren Betts is extremely physical, but she's 6'7", right? Like we don't see that too often. So I think she just gives them a presence regardless. And that way you can maybe even move like Fee at the three. Like imagine Fee playing the three. Courtney, I guess you can call her the one, and she's sharing that with McBride if they all stay. So I think that's a scary team, man. I think that's a scary team. You throw Lauren Betts in there, Alana Smith is at the four, Nafisa's at the three. Like, yeah, now you have everything you need, I feel like, in that lineup. So I definitely think Minnesota would take 6'7" Lauren Betts, give them one of the biggest teams in the league, one of the bigger teams in the league. And I think I think that's how they would do that.
yes, indeed. Let's go ahead. Let's move from the WNBA to college. I have to ask you this question because USC is looking pretty good. They have the roster, but can they win the Natty without Juju?
No, I don't think so. I don't think so. I don't think they have the interior paint presence offensively or defensively, and I just don't think they have enough consistent scoring. I think they're only somewhat consistent scorer. And I don't want to be too hard on her because she's a freshman, but I think their only somewhat consistent scorer is going to be Jazzy Davison.
Mhm.
I wanted to see more from Kennedy Smith. It's early in the season, so hey, maybe we will, but haven't seen it yet. But as far as like a national championship, I absolutely do not believe in USC. Not this season.
No, bro.
not this season.
I had to ask that. Juju's the best player in the league right about now. You know, she's very, very missed as far as those ratings go. But yeah, I had to ask that question because they have some talented players on that USC team. But I
Yeah,
had to
for
ask
sure.
that
They have a good team, and I think they'll make a nice push. But man, I don't see it. Honestly, wouldn't be surprised if my Fighting Irish beat them tomorrow. So we're gonna bounce
question.
back from that 40-point L we took last week.
Yes, indeed. Speaking of a lot of points being scored, what are your thoughts about South Carolina being the UNLV of women's college basketball, winning by an average of 30 points a game? What are your thoughts about that? Are they unstoppable this year, or does Connecticut and your Fighting Irish have other plans at this point?
I think a few teams might have other plans. I've been watching a lot of games. I haven't just focused on the top teams because, like you just said, like I don't. It's not much to see when I know you're playing a team you're going to beat by 50. So I haven't watched South Carolina that much this season. I haven't watched LSU that much this season. I've watched them, but um, I've watched UCLA quite a bit because they've already played two ranked teams. Um, yeah, but I've watched a lot of teams. Some teams maybe I'm not proud of, but I've watched when I get locked in, man, I get locked in. So I'm watching all kind of schools, all kind of conferences, and I definitely don't think that it is South Carolina's like national championship to lose. Nor do I think it's UConn's, even though I'm going to learn a lot more about UConn tomorrow. All of us are. They got that big game against Michigan, so we're gonna see what both of them are kind of made of early in the season. But no, I think there are a lot of teams who could win it. I don't think USC is one, respectfully.
Okay. Who is your number one player from each conference, that being the SEC, the Big Ten, and I know even in independent circuit, who are your like top five players? Who is your top player from each conference at this point in time? And is Flage in that conversation?
Flage is definitely in the conversation. Um, yeah, she's definitely in the conversation, absolutely. But Do I think she's the best player in the SEC? Nah, I don't think so. Let me look. Let me look. Hold on. Let me pull it up because I get my conferences a little mixed up. I grew up on like the Pac-10 and when it was actually 10 and the Big Ten when
Yeah,
it was actually
yeah.
10. So, yeah.
Before football realigned everything.
Right, right. When the Big 12 actually had 12 teams that were all relatively in the same area and stuff, like these
Mhm.
new conferences are getting to me a little bit, but let me look. Let me pull it up. I came a little ready. All right, so in the SEC, we'll start there. Oh yeah, we got a few people in the SEC. We have Talasia Cooper, who I think is maybe not on the best of situations in Tennessee, but I would give her a look. Liv McGill from Florida, averaging almost a triple double. Watch out for her. Watch out for Florida. You never know. Michaela Blake, she can't take her out. And what she's doing with Vanderbilt, she started a little cold, but she I think she had 28 last night, so she looked pretty good. Um, who else? Reagan Beers. Reagan Beers. Definitely don't take her out yet. Joyce Edwards from South Carolina. And then my sleeper pick from the SEC is going to be Clara Strack from the University of Kentucky. That's my sleeper pick. I'm really big on Kentucky, and I actually think that they could win the SEC. I really do, really do. Not
Okay.
trolling. I think Kentucky, they're a big team. They can do a little bit of everything, and I really like Clara Strack. I think she'll be a top 2 or 3 draft pick in the next draft. So yeah. So those are who I think is the best. I don't want to. We're only like 5 games in, so it's hard for me to say who's the best player right now. But those are some of the ones I'm really looking at.
Yes, indeed. And
Um.
go ahead. My bad. I
Oh, go ahead.
apologize.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. No, go ahead. You good?
Um, it's quite ironic that the best conference in women's college basketball is the best conference in college football. I mean, the SEC not only runs football, but in the SEC, women's basketball is the queen of everything at this point, outside of probably
Hmm.
UConn. But when you think about the SEC, you think about the top teams, you think about the superstar coaches, and you think about all of that. I mean, historically as well. I mean, the first thing
Oh
you
yeah.
think about when you think about the SEC, as far as SEC basketball on the women's side of the story, you think about one of the greatest of all time. You think about Pat Summitt,
Yeah.
and
Oh
I would
yeah.
say
For sure.
and I say to this day, if it was for Pat Summitt and that team, they probably would have lost their TV contract because that football was garbage for a long time. Their football team was garbage for a long time. I know we used to circle Tennessee every single year. After especially after Phil Farmer left, we used to circle that every
Uh
year.
huh.
Like if we don't know anything, we know we're gonna win that game. But
Yeah,
yeah,
I remember watching a Tennessee college football game. It was a long time ago, but they must have went to 8 or 9 overtimes. And I don't know. I don't even remember who they were playing at this point, but I just remember the game because I remember Tennessee's field. They had that bright orange field.
yeah.
So yeah, but yeah.
Last but not least, I have to ask you this question. You being the guru that you are, who's the best prospect for the W as far as not only skill but a ratings grabber?
Ratings grabber. This is gonna be interesting. This might be controversial slightly in a basketball way, but I think it's Hannah Hidalgo. I think Hannah's the one player, well, not the one player, but she's one of the main players that everybody has an opinion about, right? And I kind of look for that, right? Like you see that with I mean, we'll just say Caitlyn, right? For example, right? You can like her, you can hate her, you can love her, you can dislike her, but nobody's indifferent to Caitlin Clark, right? Nobody's indifferent. And I look at Hannah the same kind of way. Obviously, maybe not on the same level yet as a Caitlin, but I just look at her on that same kind of like trajectory. Like everybody has an opinion about Hannah Hidalgo. Almost nobody who watches college basketball doesn't know who she is. And everybody, if you ask, hey, what do you think about Hannah? They're gonna tell you something, right? It's not gonna be like, oh, I don't really know too much, or like I haven't seen this. Like rather it's been her statements she's made in the past when she was like 18 or whatever. Or just kind of how she goes hot and cold throughout her first 2 years of her career, right? Like just the way she plays at 5'6". I feel like she's a really like different kind of player, and so I've taken to her very well. Part of that is because she wears number three, so I'm a big number threes guy. If you wear number three, I'm probably a fan. So, and it was that way with Tarazi too, even way back then. Like I used to love AI, right? I love all my threes. I don't know if you're into that, like, but I know it's like a sports thing. Like, a lot of sports people, they got their number and they rock with their number.
Yeah, 21, Deion Sanders. So, I
Oh,
mean,
okay, okay.
yeah, 21, Deion Sanders, and then 34, Bo Jackson. So, I mean,
Hey, see, there you go. Yeah, we all got
34,
our
Bo
numbers,
Jackson.
and I'll literally like players like, just because of that three. Like I followed Kevin Herter for a couple of years because he wore number three just to see what he was gonna do. But that was a dead end kind of. But yeah, if you wear number three, man, I'm gonna automatically see what you're about. So that's just me. But I do think that Hannah is one of those players. Yeah, just her intensity, the way she kind of like like not a lot of players show that passion, on the court. So I do think she's a little different in that sense. So yeah, I'm gonna give it to Hannah.
Yes, indeed, man. And look, man, fortunately, man, we ain't got to go home, but we got to get the hell out of here. But the thing is, I need you to do one thing for me, NBA Mayor, man. I need you to tell the people where to follow you on all platforms so they can get more of the knowledge that you just gave our audience today.
Hey, look, if y'all want WNBA content, women's basketball content, I cover the WNBL in Australia. I talk about the EuroLeague, Eurobasket. If it's women's basketball, I'm pretty much talking about it. And you can follow me on TikTok on WNBA Mayor, WNBA Mayor, Mayer. I spelled it wrong on purpose, so please don't give me a hard time. I spelled it that way on purpose, but yeah, that's my only platform for now. Undisputed has inspired me to probably go on some other platforms and expand, my overall platform a little bit. And I want to thank you for, inviting me up as a guest tonight. I really, I had a good time chatting with you. But yeah, y'all can follow me on TikTok, WNBA Mayor, and yeah, we can get this work.
Yes, indeed.
And make
Go.
sure y'all follow Undisputed too, man. Make sure y'all follow him too and subscribe and all that good stuff. I only know your TikTok name, but yeah, make sure y'all follow my man.
Yes, that's my champ is my name in real life.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's my name in real life. Yeah, people thought,
Oh,
yeah.
nice.
So I just added undisputed world champ to it. Plus,
Well, hey,
I was
might as well.
so plus I used to box. So I used to be an amateur boxer and I used to do martial arts. So undisputed champion. So yeah, shout out to
Hey,
my
that
father. He gave me shout out to my father. He gave me the name champ. So yeah, I just took my real name and just added some stuff to it.
hey man, that's what's up. That fits, man. That definitely fits. Has a good ring to it.
Yes, indeed. My father told me you will always be a champion, and lo and behold, here we are. On that note, man, and shout out to my main man, Leaf, man. Hardcore Brooklyn Nets fan. Shout out to Sports PSP. Shout out to my co-hosts and co-owners who could not be here today. BRL Sports and Flash 22. Not to mention the great PSP himself, man. 150,000 and counting. Like I stated, if you are in the chat right about now, make sure that you like and subscribe. Hey, NBA Mayor, thank you for this incredible basketball knowledge that you have dropped on us today, man. One of the gurus, one of the great men I highly respect on as far as basketball is concerned. And I cannot wait to get you back here for March Madness. So we will see WNBA Mayor again doing March Madness. But for now, on that note, we are out. Thank you for tuning in.
Thank you so much for having me. Y'all have a good night.
All right.